To melt all of Earth's ice, roughly 8 million cubic miles of it, in a single moment would require about 9 times 10 to the 24th joules of energy. That's approximately 15,000 times more energy than all of humanity consumes in an entire year. What if that impossible amount of energy simply appeared tonight, and by sunrise, every glacier and ice sheet on Earth had completely melted? Global sea levels rise by 213 to 230 feet overnight. The Statue of Liberty disappears beneath the water up to its torch. Big Ben's clock face vanishes completely below the surface. By morning, the Netherlands and Bangladesh no longer exist as dry land. It becomes the most watched video event in human history. Live satellite footage of entire megacities disappearing beneath the ocean surpasses every previous broadcast in single-day viewership. The entire global insurance industry collapses within hours. Every coastal property insurance policy is triggered simultaneously, and the total payouts exceed the combined reserves of every insurance company on Earth. Financial systems, built on the assumption that such an event could never happen, unravel overnight. Within days, governments across dozens of countries are forced to make a decision they had postponed for years. They assume responsibility where private markets can no longer function. For the first time in history, they establish a shared international compensation fund that operates faster than any bureaucracy ever has before. The enormous influx of fresh meltwater disrupts global ocean circulation. The Gulf Stream weakens within hours. While much of the planet floods and grows warmer, Northern Europe suddenly plunges into an abnormal cold spell, experiencing a paradoxical winter in the middle of global melting. For the first time ever, meteorologists issue forecasts in which record-breaking heat and record-breaking cold occur somewhere on Earth on the very same day. As soon as the ice disappears, ruins emerge that no one ever expected to see, including whatever had remained buried beneath Antarctica for thousands of years. In a single day, archaeologists make more discoveries of lost civilizations than during the entire previous history of humanity combined. Along with the ice, something else awakens. Ancient microorganisms and life forms that had remained frozen for tens of thousands of years return to the modern world in the meltwater. Organisms previously known only from fossils suddenly exist as living samples in laboratories. For the first time in history, scientists can study entire ecosystems that had existed only in textbooks. Young researchers who had been struggling to secure funding only weeks earlier suddenly find themselves leading the largest scientific projects of the decade, finally receiving the recognition they had spent years pursuing. Nearly 40% of humanity living near coastlines loses its home overnight. The largest single-day migration in human history begins as mountainous countries receive millions of asylum requests simultaneously. Then comes the first hopeful moment of the night. Small mountain communities that had rarely appeared in the news before are the first to open their schools, gyms, and homes to complete strangers. In some villages, the population increases tenfold within a single day. Years later, local residents remember that night not as a catastrophe, but as the moment they discovered how much room their hearts truly had. Shipyards around the world immediately switch into emergency production. Humanity attempts to build entire floating cities within weeks, the greatest engineering mobilization in history. Engineers from dozens of countries work from a single, unified set of blueprints instead of competing national designs. Meanwhile, ordinary people don't wait for massive government projects. They build makeshift rafts from plastic bottles and anything else that floats. Those homemade rafts rescue the first waves of evacuees long before a single official rescue vessel can even leave port. A video of a teenager in the Philippines who builds a raft entirely from empty plastic bottles and saves his entire family becomes the defining image of that week, a reminder that the ingenuity of one ordinary person can sometimes save lives faster than any government program. Amid the chaos, archaeologists live streaming from the newly exposed ruins beneath Antarctica make a discovery that changes everything. They uncover evidence that something like this had already happened once before in the distant past. Another civilization survived it, and it left behind detailed plans explaining how to build an entire civilization on the water. Using those ancient designs, humanity spends the next generation completely rebuilding civilization around floating and amphibious infrastructure. Just imagine it, floating cities. The map of the world is permanently rewritten. The continents are smaller, while seas now occupy places where great capitals once stood. Yet, for the first time in history, every nation on Earth is united under a single international maritime charter. Born not from war, but from the simple necessity of staying afloat together. A modern Noah's Ark, except this time it isn't built by one righteous man, but by 8 billion people working together. This isn't a scientific prediction, it's simply one altered fact. All of Earth's ice melts overnight, followed to its logical conclusion. And it turns out that even when the land humanity had known for thousands of years disappears, people are capable of building a new home on the water far faster than anyone ever imagined.